Facepalm America, I'm Beowulf Rockland. Welcome. As always, each time you listen, and in between, you can go to facepalmamerica.com to listen to past episodes, connect with us on social media, and find out more about the show. As we do each week, we welcome back to the program Susanne Posel, the host of This Week Again. You should listen to that show because each Sunday she will give you a compendium of the events of the week from a humorous, progressive perspective. Suzanne, how are you today?
I am very good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm freshly rejuvenated from coffee. I went out this morning to have coffee with my eldest daughter, which was a pleasant and fun thing to do. And I know not everybody gets the chance to do that frequently. And I feel blessed. That's my vibe today.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, we live in, I don't want to call it a family compound exactly, but, you know, ever since COVID, we've, we lived together. My older daughter, my younger daughter with disabilities, my wife and I, and now our two dogs, now that we have Fred and the auxiliary backup dog, Toby, we live together and it works. You know, it's a traditional family, but it's kind of a non-traditional family in that we work out of our home, and we don't commute, and we're able to follow the progress of our daughters. For sometimes the proximity is very good, and sometimes it's not ideal, but it's close. It's proximate, I suppose you would say.
That's how families were. I mean, we have to go back a couple of centuries. So I would say you are still holding tradition. Just a farther back tradition than modern.
Yes.
But there's nothing wrong with having family close, especially in a day and age, especially since the last 30, 40 years. People have been moving away. People have been using technology to reconnect and stay connected. So the idea that, I mean, it may not be ideal because, family is family and sometimes they butt heads, but it's kind of nice to know you can just walk across the lawn or whatever and say hi to your kid. That's an amazing thought.
It is. It's nice. I feel very, privileged to be able to do that. And I feel it's nice not to have a family where let's take the Trumps, for example. I mean, they have to separate themselves by enormous spaces of time and distance, and still you can tell that on the few occasions where they do get together, like for Melania's mom's funeral, like everything, like they could barely just stand one another for the duration of that particular event. I always,
what I love about the photo that came out of it with all of them standing on the stairs, teetering, there is a palatable amount of photographs where Barron is standing opposite his mother and not next to Trump, right? Because Barron is very tall.
Yeah,
he makes Trump look not so tall.
He's like 6'5" or something like that.
He's insanely tall. So, and he's young. I think. He's not even an adult yet. I think he's 16 or 17. So he's standing next to him in this picture, from the funeral. Yeah. The other thing that I thought was fantastic was when Trump tried to get into the car where Melania was going to the cemetery, and she was like, not having that. She said something to him, and hilarious. He moseyed between cars and got into another one. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
By the way, didn't you think it was hilarious when Trump was attacking Nikki Haley's husband for not being with her on the campaign trail?
I'm sorry. He's been deployed. He really didn't have a choice.
Yeah, and even if that weren't the case, Excuse me, Melania. When was the last time that you saw her at an event? So he had to be at his mother-in-law's funeral, but aside from that,
he used it to get out of court.
Right. Yes, of course. Yeah. I think he's going to be scheduling a dentist appointment in order to try to get out of his next one. But in the last year, have you even aside from that, have you even seen the two of them together in the same frame? I can't remember. She's nowhere. She doesn't want to be with him. Who would want to be with him? I sympathize with her completely. But it's such a stupid attack to make. But it's the kind of thing that he leans into when he knows he has a vulnerability. Instead of just letting it lie, he attacks people on what he knows his own weaknesses are.
Well, yeah, most uneducated people. Low IQ individuals, to use his vernacular. These people think that everyone thinks the way they do. They don't retain the concept of other people. Yes. And they may have thoughts similar, but they have their own thing going on in their head, just like you do.
Yeah.
And they don't have marriages like yours. And their experience in life isn't like yours. Yeah. So they don't have to coerce or bribe or pay their significant other to show up somewhere.
Yeah.
They just do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and going back to Barron for a moment, I never thought about this until just now. I'm sure it's been put out there, but at 6'5", I wonder if some team in the NBA, just for the value of the publicity, wouldn't try to recruit him as a player at some point, and then for yet another generation, we will have to deal with the Trump name in the news, not only in political coverage but in sports coverage. Wouldn't that be a fascinating thing to have happen?
No, it's a terrible thought, and now it's stuck in my mind. Thank you. I'll never get rid of it.
Because he could get even taller. I don't think he's reached the end of his growth. I don't know what direction he's leaning in terms of college or what his interests are in terms of sports. Maybe he just wants to hide away from the world. That's certainly what I would want to do if
I were that tall.
Well, I don't know if I were that tall because
I'm on the other spectrum of it. I can get through a crowd real quick because I'm knee level.
Well, there you go. And you see, I'm closer. I'm closer to that level because I am 6'4", so I'm there. But he exceeds me by a couple of inches. But I'm talking about just by birth, having to deal with all the publicity and all the nonsense from your dad. God, I would certainly want to be in hidey hole, and I would not want to have any connection to that. But who knows? He could certainly, if he wanted to reach beyond, and not be trapped by the family money. That would certainly
be
an
the
option.
redemption arc of the Trump name.
It could be. Maybe he could be America's most progressive basketball star or something like that. And he could be in constant feuds with his parents or his uncles or your cousins or half brothers or what have you. I think that it would be a fascinating situation to me. And also fascinating is the fact that finally, we have a court date set for the hush money case in the Southern District of New York. March 25th is when this is all going to kick off. Finally, I wish it were one of the other cases because I feel legally this is not the strongest, but still. It's a gosh darn violation of the law, and he's going to have to come to court. And even still, at this point, they're trying to delay it. It's just an incessant braying of delay, and they're going to try to drag their feet all the way to November. But we do finally have a date, and I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely, because it's one of the juiciest.
Yes, it is. Yes.
He paid off this woman, two women, actually.
Yeah.
But I think that Stormy Daniels is just involved in this one, or is the Playboy Bunny also?
Well, I think it was just Stormy.
It's just Stormy
Daniels.
Yeah.
He did the same thing, but I think this particular case just involves.
Yeah, he actually did twice, but that we know of. But yeah, look, dude, I understand that you think the campaign money is like free money to you, and we get what you spend your money on. But listen,
Yeah.
um, you can't spend campaign money on porn stars and portraits of yourself. Okay, you just can't. And
No.
then Laura Trump,
Oh God.
is on Fox News talking about how she wants Ronna McDaniel Romney because she is Romney's daughter.
Right.
Ronna McDaniel Romney.
Hmm.
Um, she's getting kicked out because Trump doesn't like her. So now Laura Trump is like campaigning on Fox News, or was it Newsmax, um, saying that every dime would go to getting Trump elected. Now, we all know what that means.
The
We
personal
know the
bank
dude's
account,
broke.
right?
We know he can't afford to pay what he did to E. Jean Carroll.
Hmm.
We know he's not going to be able to afford to pay any of the other penalties that he's going to be receiving.
Yep.
So, absolutely, like, seriously, folks who donate to him, just for a minute, like, genuinely,
Yeah.
this doesn't bother you just a little bit? Because
It's
you complain about what other people spend their money on, like EBT cards. All day long, you are complaining about what they're
Yep.
spending their money on in
Yep.
the grocery store.
Yep.
So this doesn't bother you at all, just even a teeny?
Yeah. Oh, it would be a complete fraud if it happens. It would be absolutely nepotism if it happens. But there is the slight positive that Laura Trump, having married Eric Trump and not being an actual blood relation to Donald Trump himself, must almost inevitably be like smarter, more focused, more intelligent than any of the others. And
She married Eric.
well, that's true, but you can see the same thing in Milani. Okay, all right, you're basically at a certain point making a career decision here.
He's literally long in the tooth, but it's Eric. Okay, that's all he's got is a big smile.
That's right.
And I mean that literally.
Right, that's right. The walrus.
I love Stephen Colbert's impression of him. That is
That
golden.
is fantastic. I love that. I love it. By the way, did you get a chance to see Jon Stewart and his return to the Daily Show this week?
You know what? I absolutely. Oh my goodness! It's like I went back in time. I would. He helped shape me
Totally,
and
totally.
totally. I was raised watching him in my
Yeah.
teenage years,
Yeah.
my young 20s,
Hmm.
and to see him again was wonderful. And then to see how excited everyone was that he was coming back was ecstatic. You know, we were all sharing this event together.
Hmm.
And then to see the backlash from his opening show from progressives, from
Yeah.
Democrats. No, you can't mention. Look, dude, listen, we have Grumpy Old Men, the sequel happening. It's the same thing from 20. They are old. They're both old. They're
Yeah.
both forgetful. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's true, and he laid it out. And I mean, I've never looked to
They
him.
attacked him for it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, he was really even-handed, and that's what he was 20 years ago too. But he was funny about it, and he's got such excellent comic timing, and he was in a different environment, and I know it's shifted, and you never don't look to Jon Stewart for politics. Look to him for delivering a funny show that and he knows how to perform. Look, and nothing he said was inaccurate, but you're not going to get someone who is like completely 100% on your side. And yeah, politically, yeah, he's kind of a very like mainstream down the middle sort of liberal, and I'm much further to the left than he is. And if I want to go for like more ideological like stuff that's a little bit more forceful, I'll go to John Oliver, who I think is more in that direction, and also excellent in his own particular style. But I thought I felt like I was back in 2004. I thought it reminded me of that era, and I thought it was very interesting that the guest he had was like the editor of The Economist or something like that, as opposed to a big star. And I think they did that in order to highlight what he was doing, as opposed to like being overshadowed by some other guest. And it was very comfortable, and I like Jon Stewart's. I mean, I don't think anybody weaves in and out of a line or does a slow